What's happening, Bills Mafia? Ryan Thomas here, back again for another episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Last week, I took the time to rank the AFC East division, how I saw it going down, why I saw it going down that way. You can check that out on all audio podcasting platforms, as well as the Thomas Take Sports Podcast YouTube channel, as well as Thomas Take Sports Podcast on Facebook. Check that out. Let me know what you think, as well as my AFC East quarterback rankings. Now, on this episode of the Thomas Tick Sports Podcast, I am bringing you ranking the run game within the AFC East, featuring the Buffalo Bills, of course, the New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins, and the New York Jets. How do I see each and every team within the AFC East? How do I view their run game? How do I rank them? Who has the best run game in the AFC East? Who has the worst run game in the AFC East? The running game is very tough to rank nowadays, due in large part to the fact that the run game has kind of taken a lesser role in today's version of the NFL. It's a pass-happy league, no doubt about it. The rules are crafted towards your run game actually being kind of put on the back burner and your passing game being put on the forefront as far as what makes or breaks an NFL offense. I'll allow you guys to fire away some comments as well in the comments section below when you're tuning in live. StreamYard, thanks to them for allowing me to stream my show. Facebook, YouTube, anyone that's watching this show, comment. I'll get to your comments at the end of the show. But ranking the run game is tough because, let's be honest, there are few and far between legitimate rushing offenses in the National Football League nowadays, and none of them reside in the AFC East as of last year. But will they become better in 2021 in comparison to what they were in 2020? That is something that I think is a worthy question. So the fourth best run game, which is the worst run game in the AFC East, of course, resides in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with a team that I refer to as the New Jersey Jets. There's only one team in New York, and that is the Buffalo Bills, not the New York Jets, not the New York Giants. But let's put things in perspective here. Frank Gore led the Jets in rushing last year. They had a very ill-fated signing with Le'Veon Bell, did not work out. And the Jets have been really scrounging for anything as far as a redeeming run game the last few years. They brought in Tevin Coleman in free agency along with guys that have been somewhat holdovers or, kind of backups. Nobody that's really lit the world on fire, and Ty Johnson and the Michael Pirine. But the running back that I really like that's on this Jets backfield is fourth-round draft choice this past year, Michael Carter. But I don't think any of these options that the Jets currently have will be able to carry a heavy load in the backfield for the New York Jets. This team is going to be heavily relying upon their passing offense with rookie quarterback Zach Wilson and some of the new passing weapons that they brought in, guys like Corey Davis being one of them. This Jets team isn't very good. It's safe to say, but the run game is probably the worst part of this team. Number 3, the third best rushing offense in the AFC East. I'm going to give that honor to the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins have a few pieces in the run game, a combination, a trio, if you will, with Myles Gaskin, Malcolm Brown, and Salvon Ahmed rushing the football. And they're a hot hand rushing offense. That's what they were last year. That's what they've been the last few years. Myles Gaskin is a running back I really like. He jumped off the charts for me as far as a fantasy relevant running back. He was a solid waiver wire ad last year for me and for many others. But I think with the creativity or lack thereof in this somewhat conservative Tua Tagovailoa safe offense, the run game has to be a factor for Miami in order to win football games in 2021 in comparison to 2020. And I just don't know, out of those two running backs, which one will really jump out outside of Myles Gaskin. That's the one that's most obvious to me. Gaskin led Miami with 584 rushing yards and an average 4.1 yard per carry clip. That's obviously good numbers. Now, ranking the run game in the AFC East, the top two teams, Buffalo Bills fans are going to watch this and they're going to say, wow, I didn't rank them number one. No, I didn't rank them number one. In terms of the run game, this is the biggest question mark for the Buffalo Bills, the run game. The run game was not a factor last year for Buffalo. Let's just face it, in comparison, especially to their passing offense, which was one of the top three passing offenses in the NFL, along with Tampa Bay and Kansas City. The rushing offense had little to no identity at all. As far as establishing the run game, that was a huge criticism of mine towards offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, Brian Daboll. They couldn't find the right mix between Moss and Singletary, the hot hand and riding the hot hand. Neither one was really ever able to be the hot hand in this backfield, and there are a lot of reasons for that. I won't go into all the reasons, but there's a laundry list of reasons for that. A laundry list of reasons that I think have been corrected, at least more so than they were last year. In last year's offseason, we didn't see, offensive line depth additions in the draft last year like we did this year. We really didn't see a fully healthy starting five offensive line for the Buffalo Bills until later on in the season, and that was when the run game was able to do a little bit of something. So for that, I'm ranking the Buffalo Bills run game as the second best rushing offense in the AFC East. I truly feel that a big question is whether or not Moss is the guy or Singletary is the guy. That's a question that a lot of Bills Mafia members are debating right now. But let me tell you this. I don't think that there needs to be a quintessential RB1 in any NFL offense anymore. The days of guys like Barry Sanders and Thurman Thomas and Emmitt Smith, those days are long gone. The days of these two-back sets, somewhat three-back sets, are here to stay. And whether it's Zach Moss pounding the rock in between the tackles or Devin Singletary being, given the ball on the outside or setting the edge, there is a running back on this team that was newly acquired via free agency from the Miami Dolphins by the name of Matt Breida. And I'm very curious to see if Buffalo incorporates more of a three running back set rather than a two running back set when they do decide to pound the rock and to run the football. Matt Breida is one of the faster running backs in the league, just across the board in terms of pure speed. On any run, he has speed. So I'm very curious to see how Daboll implements Breida into the offense now that you have that speed demon dimension that you didn't have last year, frankly. Singletary's not known to be the fastest guy on earth. Zach Moss certainly isn't the fastest guy on earth. He's more of a power running back. How do you mix this three running back trio on this team? I think that's a very curious question that a lot of us are asking ourselves, and that's something that we can keep our eyes out on as Buffalo Bills fans heading into this upcoming season. The number one rushing offense to me in the AFC East resides in New England. Now, for all the question marks I have for New England as far as their quarterback goes, the rushing offense is pretty damn good, and it was pretty damn good last year. Despite the 7-9 record, the Patriots had no business finishing even 7-9, but both Damian Harris and Sony Michel have averaged over 5 yards per carry last season. James White is still one of the better third down running backs as far as a receiving back. He fits the goals for this entire offense. So I like the trio of Michel, White, as well as Damian Harris. Could that be what Brian Daboll is trying to replicate here in Buffalo, being that he comes from that New England pedigree with Bill Belichick and obviously collegiately with Saban? Saban runs a three-back set. Patriots have tried to run a three-back set as much as possible. I think they have the best rushing attack in the division to do that, and I rate them as the number one best rushing offense in the AFC East. Now, this was definitely an easier ranking to do, given that we didn't see a lot from the bottom three rushing offenses from the Jets. We didn't see a lot from the Jets. We didn't see a lot from the Dolphins. We didn't see a ton from the Buffalo Bills. And as much as I loved watching this pass-happy attack by the Buffalo Bills last season, it was exciting. It was fun. You had Josh Allen slinging dimes to Stephon Diggs. You had Gabe Davis making sideline catches left and right. You had Cole Beasley in the slot. just dominating in the slot. I hope that the Buffalo Bills do implement more of a rushing offense in 2021. Does it need to happen? That's another topic for another day. Does it need to happen? Do the Bills need to win games by running the football? No, they won 13 last year without running the football. But rest assured, every offensive coach, every defensive coach has spent the entire offseason reviewing what Buffalo did last season to make their offense so potent in the passing game, trying to replicate it, trying to duplicate it in their own way, and trying to stop it from happening again. And I think Buffalo is going to have to come with something a little bit different year after year in order to evolve. You got to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You will not get better by staying in your comfort zone. I think Buffalo has to embrace a little bit of the opposite of what they did last year in order to be even better than they were last year. Call me crazy, but that's just my opinion. Ranking the AFC East rushing attacks. I'll be doing it all, off season long as we inch closer and closer to the regular season. Next up, I'll be going towards defenses in the AFC East, and then I'll be moving on to some other divisions. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. For more, whether it's NFL conversation, mixed martial arts conversation, you name it, coverage across MMA, NFL, MLB, NHL. We have some big days in the NHL calendar this week. The Seattle Kraken have their expansion draft. Jeff Skinner is available for them to be selected. I'll be talking about that in the next episode as well, covering the NHL draft. Buffalo Sabres obviously hold the first overall selection in that draft. Could it be Owen Power? Could it be Matt Beniers? Could it be somebody else? Very, very fun times indeed. The offseason here. There is no offseason. Baseball's in full swing. Tonight, I will be in Buffalo to tune in to the best baseball team in the world, not named the Toronto Blue Jays, the Boston Red Sox, my team. Very excited to check that out tonight. Stay safe, everybody, of course. Still living in a crazy world, but we're easing, things are getting better. And I'm excited to realize today that football is just around the corner. Cannot wait for this upcoming Buffalo Bills season. Take care, and thanks for tuning in.